Well, good afternoon and welcome to Pioneering for AI Construction Safety webinar, where the future of construction site safety meets innovative technology. Today, we're proud to present a collaborative effort between WakeCap and Novade, focusing on the pivotal development of AI solutions designed to predict and enhance safety measures on construction sites. Well, WakeCap is at the forefront of construction safety or construction technology innovation, specializing in smart wearable tech and AI solutions that revolutionize how safety and efficiency are managed on construction sites, with a deep commitment to safeguarding workers and optimizing operations. WakeCap's technology offer real-time insights, data analytics, and connectivity like never before. Their mission is to bridge the gap between the digital and the physical aspects of construction, ensuring that every worker is accounted for, every process is streamlined, and every site becomes a model of safety and productivity. Well, in this partnership with Novade, a leader of digital site management solutions, we've embarked on a journey to integrate AI and machine learning capabilities to preemptively identify potential safety hazards. This collaboration signifies more than just technological advancement. It represents a shift towards proactive safety management, marking a new era where accidents are not just responded to, but anticipated and prevented. I'm pleased to welcome Dennis Branthon, the founder and CEO of Novade, as our guest today. Together, we will dive deep into the mechanics of the AI-driven solutions that are being developed today, exploring the challenges and breakthroughs encountered along the way with Novade's development. We'll also discuss the impacts that these innovations are set to have on the construction industry at large, now and in the future, especially within the dynamic environments of the Middle East and especially the mega projects that are being built in Saudi Arabia. Together, WakeCap's cutting-edge technology and Novade's AI expertise combine to provide a new frontier that will pave the way for safer, smarter, and more efficient construction sites in the Middle East. But we thank you for joining today. We promise that this will be a brief webinar. I know sometimes you join webinars for 1 hour and they finish after 2, but we will keep this to the 1 hour. We've asked Dennis to make a presentation of Novade and asked him to explain some of the developments that they have within this area of AI technology for construction. So as we begin, please note that there is a Q&A section on the platform. You're welcome to ask any questions. We'll review them and answer them, but I've got a stack of questions for Dennis. I'm very interested in the AI developments that we are seeing in all areas of our life, and I'm curious to see how this will affect safety on a construction site. And so please let me introduce Dennis. He is the CEO and founder of Novade. He is based in Singapore. He's coming to us live from Singapore. Dennis, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you take some time to introduce yourself, introduce Novade, and take us through some of the developments that you have experienced in the last while with the introduction of AI for construction safety. Dennis, thank you very much.
Philip, thank you very much, and good afternoon to everybody. I'm indeed calling you from Singapore today. It's slightly after 5 p.m. here in Singapore, and I'm really excited to join this webinar that is jointly organized by yourself, WakeCap. And I guess I will spend a little bit of time to explain, who Novade is, what we do, but we spend most of the time discussing, progress made in AI technology. And one particular topic where we managed to make a breakthrough end of last year, it's the ability to predict accidents on a construction site with very, very high level of accuracy, more than 60%, 76% accuracy. Before I do this, Philip, I'd just like to introduce myself, the company a little bit, so that you know who is on the screen, where I'm coming from, and then it will give a little bit more background about the rest of the presentation. I've prepared a few slides to introduce the company. I'll be very fast on this. So a few words about Novade first. We are a company that started 10 years ago, and we operate today in 20 countries across the world, in Europe, Middle East, and Asia. Our system is deployed on more than 10,000 sites. We have 150,000 users, and our clients manage more than 1 million processes with our application every month. We are trusted by global industry leaders, largest developers, contractors, and operators in the world today use Novade to manage their operations. And I have here a list of some of the projects where our platform is deployed. It varies from project in infrastructure segment, building, industrial utilities. In Saudi Arabia, we work with Aramco on very large oil and gas projects. We're also involved in the renovation and development of some airports in Saudi Arabia. What defines us is basically we help our clients to manage operations with one simple, easy-to-use app, and we help our clients to manage quality assurance, HSE compliance, and we help them to progress, to manage and track progress and resources in the field. And in order to do this, we connect to technical documentation, people, and assets. And this is where, by the way, the collaboration with WakeCap makes a lot of sense, because WakeCap has really deployed and developed some very exciting technology around tracking people and assets in the field. On the last slide on the presentation, we started 10 years ago. In fact, this year marks our 10th year anniversary. And for the most part of our journey, we've been working a lot with our clients in the industry, helping them to define their processes and automating their processes using mobile devices. In the last few years, we've started to develop, analytical tools. This is the third circle you see in the middle here. And basically, end of last year, we started to get some results around predictive analytics. I will spend some time today describing this. And, at the end of the day, our vision is simple. We want to use AI to develop smart operations for our clients. So that's who we are. So let me make a pause here, Phil. And I don't know if you have any questions around Novade, or maybe you want to share a little bit more WakeCap before we go and talk about AI in construction.
I understand that you're based in Singapore, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
What are some of the countries where do we see Novade? Where have you developed your expertise?
We started 10 years ago in Singapore, and we started our initial footprint was mostly in Asia. We started to operate in Europe. Also, we work a lot on very large projects, whether it's building or infrastructure. And in recent years, we started to develop our business in the Middle East, and in Saudi Arabia, particularly, we work with WakeCap. We collaborate with WakeCap.
Okay, fantastic. Please talk us through some of the developments that you've seen with AI and safety. That's the subject for today's discussion, and we're very curious to hear your claims. I read a brochure about some of the activities that you've already encountered and the developments that you've seen with some clients. And so talk to us about the process. How did this begin, and where are you at today?
Yeah, so first of all, when the company was started 10 years ago, I believed, my view was that at some point, someday, we're going to be able to use data to improve operations and predict accidents or quality issues on the construction site. But that was a dream 10 years ago. And, before you're able to do this, you need to collect a lot of data. About 18 months ago, the Singapore government contacted us, and they were very interested to explore with us the possibility to use AI technology to help companies in the construction industry leverage AI. The reason why they contacted us is because here in Singapore, where it started, about 70% of the contractors use Novade. So it's a fairly widely used tool. And they asked us where we believe that AI could be used in construction. And we have identified 3 use cases. The first one is, can we use data and AI to predict delays? The second use case we studied was, can we use AI to predict quality issues or defects? And the third one is, can we use AI to predict accidents on construction sites? So we got this very ambitious project funded. We hired very talented people, and we've partnered with some companies here in Singapore look at the data and figure out we're able to leverage this data. I have to make it clear that this is R&D. This is when we started to do this. We knew it would be possible. We were not sure when we would be able to do this. And the biggest uncertainty for us was that, is there enough data with our clients so that we can do these predictions? At this stage, we haven't made any breakthrough yet on being able to predict delays on construction sites. I think it's going to be the most difficult use case to crack. Every project is different. I think it's very challenging. We have some initial very interesting results around quality, but we haven't cracked the code here. The place where we made some significant progress, and it was at the end of last year, we've managed to predict that with a data set from the second largest contractor here in Singapore, we were able to predict with a 76% accuracy that an accident would happen on one site in a particular month. I have to say that when this happened, actually it was beyond what I hoped. The level of accuracy and prediction at first seems, quite high, and we were not very sure about it. And we've spent the last few months, tracking it and looking at it, and it's true. We're getting there. So what I'm going to do now is I have a few slides where I will explain exactly what we did, how we did it, what this means, the things we know, the things we don't know, why we think it's a breakthrough so far. We work with a lot of companies across the world. We think it's one of the first cases like this on such a large scale, and what it means for any company in the industry. So the result we got was this. We are able to predict with 76% accuracy that an accident will happen in 1 month on one site. And so how did we do this? The methodology we use is the following. We work with a company called Chongqing. It's a fairly large general contractor here in Singapore, the second largest. It's a listed company. And we've been working with Chongqing for the last 8 years. So we've collected collectively a lot of data around their operations. So we considered about 80 metrics that we put into the data models. And these metrics are on trends and behaviors. Then we started to run some models and asking these questions: will there be an accident on this site in the next month? It took us months and months of research using different models. To be honest, initially it was not working. And then finally we got this amazing outcome, which we were able, with a particular model and with a particular data set, to predict that an accident would happen with a 76% accuracy. Not only this, is like whenever we were predicting the accident, actually, the precision with 88%. When the AI predicts an accident is right 88% of the time. So it's a fairly, very, very precise. I mean, it's not 90%, but it's very high, right? I believe it's very significant. When I share this story with companies in the industry, the first question they ask is, what kind of inputs did you use, right? So the data that was used to train the model was the following. We used data for almost 2 years on 9 construction sites. So we're talking about, 1,500 users, fairly large amount of projects, quite different over a long period of time. And the data we collected is mostly around safety compliance processes, things like permits to work, toolbox meetings, data around inspections and observations. We collected information around reporting. Of course, documentation around incident and near miss, because that's the base to be able to predict issues. We also collected data around daily man hours and overtime, right? So we put all of this data in the model, and the model was able to predict this. If you want to picture how it works, is basically you have all these sites around the country, and centrally for the safety team and the corporate team and the CEO, we're able to tell them, well, watch out, you should go on this site next month because there's a likelihood that an accident is going to take place, right? We don't have the details precisely on which zone or which person or which subcontractor, but we know for sure that something is going to happen on that site on that particular month. And that's very useful because actually it helps the safety teams to prioritize, where they should spend their time. And what I'm showing you here is a quote that Kevin, who is the head of corporate division at Chongqing, has nicely agreed to share, is for him is having access to this kind of analysis is incredibly cost effective because it allows them to take a more objective look at the projects. It's like having a pair of glass, right? That helps them to see the projects more clearly. It really helps to prioritize at the corporate level and the safety team and say, okay, we should really go on that side because something is not right there. Or the risk of having an accident is higher. And now, I must say that I was surprised by the results, the accuracy of the results, and we've spent a lot of times in the last few weeks trying to figure out, is this real? Was it predictable? And as we discussed with the team from Chongqing, asked them, were you surprised by the results and the parameters? Not really. And one thing that clearly comes up when we discuss with people, experts in a safety environment, is there's no surprise when there's an accident. Very often, when there is an accident and you do an audit after the accident, very often people will tell you they were not surprised that the accident happened. In fact, they're surprised it didn't happen earlier. So it's very clear that when there's some issues, very often, the writing was on the wall, right? I just take these examples like, safety is all about preventing a fairly significant event to happen. But before that event happened, there's usually a lot of small things that add up, and you can notice them, you can see them, right? You may start seeing some, approvals not done on times, people working overtime, changing in the weather patterns. So there's certain signs that are there. And I like this idea that the writing is on the wall before an accident happens. Now, imagine when you think about safety, the writing is on the wall, and human, what we've done in the industry and many industries is we've put in place risk assessment mechanisms so that we can detect and prevent these issues. Now, the challenge in construction, there are so many things going on that it's sometimes, overwhelming. And I think this is really where AI comes and makes a lot of sense because if you think about it on the left here, if you're a human being and you arrive on site, there's so many things that you need to inspect and pay attention to detect these potential issues. And as human beings, we struggle to compute huge amount of data. On the other hand, AI thrives in an environment with lots of data and clear outcome. The outcome is very clearly identified, an accident and a near miss. And what AI does is going to detect all these low-level signals on a site that happen over time. And as the signal goes up, AI can start telling us, hey, no, watch out. I think you should go there. Something wrong may happen. Really, this is how I think and try to rationalize the results and why AI is so accurate when it comes to predicting accidents. Now, one thing I like to finish with is that the most significant impact of the model, it's not its prediction, but it's the understanding of which parameters impact the prediction, right? To a certain extent, it's very important to know, and it's very interesting to know that an accident may happen on one site in a given month. But as we look at the data and try to understand the model, I believe that the most interesting thing is actually to understand which parameters have an impact on the prediction. In the case of Chongqing, for instance, there were 80 parameters that were used. At the end of the day, there's only 12 that have a very significant impact on the prediction. And so for the team, it's tracking and following these parameters that makes a difference, and it's going to help them really to make a difference. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, Philippe. I'm be very happy to answer some questions. This is kind of a complex topic, exciting topic, and I'm sure it's raising a lot of questions.
Don't worry, I have plenty of questions for you, Dennis.
Very good.
I think it's important for those that are joining us today to clearly identify: does Novade have an AI for safety product that they're going to market with now, or is this something that's still in development?
It's still in development. So I need to clarify. At the beginning of the explanation I was explaining, we were funded by the Singapore government on R&D. It's beyond R&D, right? Which is we found some operational mechanisms that helps one company, a very large company, to do this. At the moment, we are partnering with very large organizations across the world, and we are exploring with them how AI could also be applied for them. So we are in the process of conducting research with other companies in other countries. I would say that at this stage, it's not a product, right? It's not a product. Why? Because we are for me to be able to say that it's a product, it means like I could go anywhere in the world and you set it up and it's going to tell you where the issues are. We're not at that stage. I believe it's going to take another 1 or 2 years to get there. But what I find very exciting is we know for sure that it can be done. We know for sure that it can be repeated. And we know for sure that within 1 or 2 years, at the speed AI goes, we should be able to have a significant impact when it comes to predicting accidents on site. So I'm here to say basically it works, it can be done, and we are really going full steam ahead to make progress in that area.
I'm sure, like all AI technologies, there's a long development phase, but it's moving ahead very quickly. You said earlier that you could predict with 80% that there was going to be an accident on that construction site in a month. Now, honestly, I could say that about any construction site in the world. I could walk up to the manager and say, I believe that there is going to be an accident on this site in the next month. And I would probably be 80% correct. So what's different between having a guess and knowing that there is something that's not right with a site that's going to cause an accident? So how does a model, an AI model, achieve this level of accuracy in predicting an accident?
Yeah, maybe one thing I should clarify is accidents are quite rare in Singapore, Chongqing. So it's only very serious accidents that are reported. So they don't happen very often. So no, they don't happen every month. So it's quite rare that an accident happens. So this is why the model prediction is it's impressive and very rare. When it happens, it's very serious and you really need to pay attention. So that's why the model is accurate and very interesting, right? So is that? I guess that's an important clarification, Philippe, right?
Yes, it is. Because you said that you were working with Chongqing for 2 years on 9 construction sites, and so there's an extensive database that you're using to implement some machine learning and AI capabilities. Does that mean that every client needs to have 2 years of data collated for it to be of value to their organization?
Yeah, so I would say that for the AI model to be accurate, you need a significant amount of data collected in the field. Probably 2 years is good. You need a fairly large sample of users' site and at least, 1 or 2 years of data. If not, you're not going to be able to create the model. I would say also the type of data that we collect and is relevant, for sure you need to be able to report your near misses and your accidents very accurately. But the type of information we find very interesting is anything which relates to behavior. So where we were collected and looking at all these parameters, when you do risk assessment, right, people do permits to work, there's checklists which are crossed and stuff. The reality is, anything around compliance, this doesn't give you too much information. But anything around behavior, which is at which speed do these things get approved? When do they get approved? What kind of rejection rates are we looking at? So it's not what people say that they're going to do or they've done. It's how they do it, how they approve it that makes a big difference. So you really need to go into collecting information that gives you information about behavior in the field rather than actual facts that would look, in the first place, maybe interesting.
Would this be data specific to the client, or is there data that you will be using to generalize the activities of safety on a site?
I think these data are pretty generalized. So anywhere in the world, you need to manage risk assessment processes. You need to report on man hours. So this is something you find everywhere. What is difficult is to find data which is very accurate in terms of behavior. This is where Novade comes in. We have a fairly sophisticated tool when it comes to managing processes, reviews, and approvals. It's used in the field by thousands and thousands of workers. So it's the fact that the tool is well used by workers that makes a big difference. Yeah. So you need this kind of data.
Construction sites are all different, though. We have high-rise towers, we have, mega residential projects that are being developed in this region, in Saudi Arabia and the UAE, where we're from. Every site's completely different. How does an AI model adapt to different site activities, or is this just part of the data?
The beauty about AI is that it learns, right? So it learns from anything. And the way I'm pretty sure actually that the type of projects may not matter too much. In the case of Chongqing, they had very different projects. I think that the model though will have to be different for every country, every company, because you have slightly different processes, slightly different behaviors. But the beauty about AI is just takes inputs, whatever inputs you have, it takes the outputs, the outcome in the case of safety is clearly identified in such accident, and it's going to run algorithms to learn from the past to predict the future. So in that sense, basically these models can be replicated pretty much anywhere, any type of project, as long as you have enough information. Yes, what we are doing now is we are working with a few very large organizations across the world to define the commonalities, right? So I'm very sure that you can create models for any company, any country. The question is, are we going to see commonalities across the world? 80, 90% of the time it's always the same. Or no, it's very, very different country by country or company by company. I don't know this yet.
What are some of the challenges that you've met on the road in the last couple of years in the development of this technology?
There's typically two types of challenges: the accuracy and relevance of the data collected in the field. So, you may have digitized field operations, you may have collected a lot of data, but is this data really accurate, right? So really understanding which data is accurate and why is the first challenge. This is typically what takes the most time. The other challenge we faced is that finding the right AI model. We've tried hundreds. And what is fascinating about AI, the AI world, is that there are new AI models which are created every day, right? It's the world of mathematics and it's infinite models that can be created. So really there's two challenges in this area is on the one hand, making sure that you collect accurate data and relevant data that the model will understand. And on the other hand, it's more for the AI scientist and the data analyst is like, based on the problem, which is you want to solve, which AI model should you choose?
So there is a model that is behind this. You're working with an existing model. You haven't written a model.
Yes, so there's some models, some IP related to this, but yes, there's some particular models that we know works very well for this.
Okay, very good. So you mentioned earlier there that you had some very positive feedback from your client with regard to this, but generally on the construction site, those that know that there is some form of AI monitoring safety, what's some of the feedback that you've received from site managers today?
So I would say for the company we work with, Chongqing, right, the feedback has been excellent, especially at the CEO level and corporate level, because there's a couple of things. One is, you're CEO of a large organization, someone comes to you and say, you should go and pay attention to that site, this month, because likelihood of an accident is higher. This is, of course, very, very important. It's a crucial information. And because you put in place so many systems, you have so many people in charge of managing this. So if a tool can help you to direct you to the right place, that's obviously some very, very critical information. What was also interesting is the reaction from experienced people that realize that actually the AI model is not describing anything new. If you look at the 12 parameters in the case of Chongqing that matter, well, that team pretty much would have been able to guess it. And so the AI model is not coming up with something revolutionary. It's just able to compute a huge amount of data, prioritize this data, put it in front of you and say, hey, you know what? With what we know, with the data from the field, you should go there. And it's very likely that an experienced guy going in the field doing an interview will find the same conclusion. The difference here would just make it easier, faster, and rational, and I would say non-emotional, no judgment, right? The machine is cold, just follow some parameters. And so that's what makes it interesting. So the feedback from the management was excellent. The feedback from experienced people is also very exciting. I think the next thing is what we're working on is now, right, let's use this model. And can we prove in the next 12 to 18 months that, incidents are going down in that company? If that's the case, I think it's a huge impact, and basically we'll have proven that actually AI can make a difference. But that's the next chapter.
Well, sorry if I sound a little bit skeptical, but I did just finish watching Class of '09, which is have you seen this series? It's it's a series about the FBI in the future using AI to predict crime, and everything goes wrong. And so I'm sure that there are some skeptics out there that say, well, really, can AI tell me if I'm going to have an accident on the side? I'm sure you've come across this, the skeptics of the industry. How are you finding that? Are they being convinced? Have they been convinced with some of your results so far?
They've been convinced by the parameters and how the model works. Now, let's be very clear. If I can predict an accident is going to happen, let's say next month on one site, I go there and I do everything I can and the accident doesn't happen. Was the AI model right or wrong? That's where it becomes interesting. In fact, what's going to happen with AI predictions is human beings are going to try to prove that the model was wrong. And that's great. So at the end of the day, this is one of the last slide I finished with. It doesn't matter. It's not the AI prediction that matters. It's the parameters that you're going to follow and the actions you're going to take that are going to help you to reduce incidents. So at the end of the day, if you follow these tools, if you digitize your processes, you track them, and we actually provide certain parameters and KPIs that help you to track stuff, plus you put your efforts on where the AI models tells you to go, very likely you're going to see a reduction in the accidents. So ultimately, if you see accidents reducing dramatically, it means it works. But let's be very clear. We, as human beings, we're going to make sure that every time there's an accident which is predicted, we're going to try to prove that the model is wrong, right? And then you will have to compute the model, and it will do a new prediction.
Well, that was
a bit of a paradox,
Yeah,
that's the paradox.
What will the impact be of having an AI, and if it's causing us to just relook continuously at the causes of accidents, then yes, we will see improved safety on construction sites.
Right.
And that's different anywhere else, everywhere in the world. The safety standards in Australia, for an example, are far different than those in the Middle East. But we're seeing dramatic change in what's happening in the Middle East with new safety standards being adopted. And yet still, even in the countries where there is, strong control over safety, accidents still happen. That's why they're called accidents. And so if we're in the position where we're continually looking at the cause, then we will have less accidents on construction sites.
Yes, maybe one clarification, Philippe, which is this, and sorry, I'm going to sound a little bit technical. I'm an engineer. There's a slight difference between correlation and causality. So the AI model is going to be able to tell you is going to look at parameters and predict, accidents. The AI model will never tell you what the cause is, right? So basically, we're using parameters we collect in the field to tell us that something is wrong. The AI model is not smart, doesn't know what's the cause, right? Most likely the cause for accidents in Australia, Saudi Arabia, or Singapore could differ. You're not dealing necessarily with the same level of trained resources. We know that in many countries in the world after COVID, there was a lot of teams and management that changed, and that was a major cause for an increase in accidents. The model is not going to tell you this, right? The model is going to tell you, I observe that there's some, low-level signals in this site that tells me something wrong is going to happen. That's all the model can do, right? So, sorry, I just wanted to clarify the difference between causality and correlation. And it means that as human beings, we still have a job to do. And I think that's the other part which is very important about AI, which is AI is not going to replace human beings when it comes in safety. It's here to support. It helps to prioritize. But at the end of the day, reducing safety on construction site is going to depend on the culture, on the people. And I would say it's even more important than this is we should not rely on AI, because you may run the risk that people just rely too much on technology to improve safety. Technology is here to help us, but technology is not here to replace us.
Very good. Well, we have lots of questions from our audience, so please share with us any questions that you have. Surendra, thank you so much for joining us. You've asked here, how do you define accuracy in the context of predicting accidents? I think we sort of touched on this a little bit, but could you reiterate your answer just for Surendra?
Yeah. So in the world of AI models, right, there's two parameters or two domains that you use. One is, can you predict that an accident is going to happen? And so that's what we call accuracy of the prediction. In the case of the model we worked on, it was 76% accuracy that an accident is going to happen. And then after that, you run and say the accident, when the accident happens, can you confirm that it really happened? And this is called precision. So you have accuracy and precision. Our model is 76% accurate and it's 86% precise, right? So it's fairly high percentage. That's how AI models work. I'm not sure.
And there was a question that I had for you, and there's a question also here from Martin. The integration of what you're doing with other tech is of interest to me. Martin's asked, are you intending to integrate with digital twin or fireware to allow models to be primitive or for future incidents? How do you see this moving forward, the tech that you have? I'm sure that you're developing this for your business and it's great for your brand, but I know I've met you and we've discussed a lot about this, and I know it's your heart just to see better safety on construction sites. And that's what's driving your success, because it's your passion just to see, no matter whether your technology is being used or not. So how do you see this evolving in the future with regard to integration?
Yeah, so digital twins, first of all, we are not in the business of digital twins. We don't do 3D models, but we integrate with companies doing this, Autodesk. I would say, so we have a platform which is very much focused on field processes on construction, right? Construction, it's about tracking progress, managing quality, managing safety. So that's what we are focused on. And we integrate with solutions for design. We integrate with management of people and assets, and this is where our integration with WakeCap comes in. Now, to dig in a little bit more on the world of AI, the trend I see is for very large companies, very large general contractors, owners, developers. They're moving away from developing some of their apps. They've developed in the last 10, 20 years apps. It's usually going nowhere. And they're reallocating resources in investing in data scientists and AI. And I believe for very large companies, what I showed, for instance, with AI, is so important that this is not necessarily something you're going to outsource. So in the case of Novade, we are very, very clear. Our job is to provide software that helps our clients to collect data. With this data, we can provide meaningful charts, analytics, and we can even provide AI model. Ultimately, some of the AI models will be controlled and defined by the companies, by our clients, because they are too important and too strategic. So this is why we are engaging into partnering with some very large organizations. We do not pretend that we're going to control and own AI. I don't think it's reasonable. I think large companies will do this, but we're here to support companies in their quest to collect the right data so they can apply the right models.
There's a question from Salpi, and she's asked, from this data, from this analysis, were you able to generate reports? Did you have some fancy reports? Yeah, construction industry, technology people love seeing reports. They love seeing the pretty pictures, the analytics that are behind this. Were you able to generate some of these reports? I don't know if you have any on your slides there, but if not, while you're explaining this, in the replay video, I'll put some of these photos of some of the reports if you have them. But how did you go about preparing reports for your clients' observation?
Yes. So actually, there's two types of outputs. The first output is just, accuracy, one accident in this site and this month. It's super simple, right? It's just a table. The second report we're working on with something we already have, but we are fine-tuning it with AI, is basically what we call KPI dashboards for safety. So there's certain KPIs that are very important to track. We know from our past history that we could sense that they were very important. Things around behaviors, compliance, etc. But with the fine-tuning of the model, in the case of Tongxeng, we have very specific KPIs and dashboards they're going to track, because these are the ones correlated with the predictions. And so they know that if they track this, if they start seeing them going up, they're going to have an issue. Yeah. So in concrete terms, it means it's dashboards. They can be available in either in Novade dashboards or Power BI, whichever the client wants it. And they are specifically customized for each client based on their processes and in the future on their AI model.
There's a question from somebody here, or a statement. They're just saying that they're working with a multinational construction firm in the UK, that it requires the prediction of weather and people movement anywhere on the site. Is this something that you could be working with in the future, as well as safety, where you're looking at predictive measures? I come from a construction background, and we used to build tennis courts. That was my family business, and everything was outdoors. And so when it rained, we didn't work. And I'm sure, having something that was more than just the weather report to say it's going to rain this afternoon would have been a value to us. But are there other technologies, are there other, sort of incidents where you'd see AI sort of revolve into the construction process?
Yeah, so we collect, one of the three modules that Novade provides, quality, safety, site diary. In site diary, we collect, information on weather, temperature, and all this. So it's part of the parameters that we collect and can be used for an AI model. So the answer is yes. And it's either we collect it, but it's also information that can be provided by other systems.
Yeah, there's a question, but I think I know the answer to this one. Why don't you collect the reason for the past accidents in order to predict casualty? But I'm sure that that's part of your process. You are looking at the problems that have been on site, the accidents that have been on site, and documenting in your data the cause for this is of course, this is part of the process of the preparation of documents or the preparation of data in order to move ahead with AI. Is that correct?
Yes. So every time there's an accident or a near miss, there's root cause analysis, and you have the cause that did it. It's one of the elements we look at. But the truth is, so this is the difference between causality and correlation. The model doesn't understand very well causes. He understands what is correlated between, certain parameters and the predictions. So some of these items may be linked, some may not.
On a construction site today, we report on the million man hours with lost time accident.
Yep.
And of course, we're reporting on the fact that we didn't have a lost time accident, but that has a clear definition. If somebody is injured on site, doesn't actually mean that it's a lost time accident. And if somebody experienced an extremely near miss that could have been fatal, we don't report on that either. And so how in your collection of data do you address the near misses and the minor incidents that could have been more critical in the construction process?
So if you have near misses and they are reported accurately, they can actually improve the accuracy of the model. I just put if they are reported accurately, because what we find is that they may not be, the information may not be reported on the fly in real time. So you always have to be very cautious with something which is post-documented. Okay, so but I would say if you collect this information real time on mobile devices and you're sure that it's very accurate, it can definitely improve the predictions.
Well, we have one attendee who's lots of questions today. But moving ahead, do you foresee that this AI technology will be open to other companies sort of providing information to assist with the collection of data for analysis?
Yes, we do. So we are sharing this openly, agreement with the Chongqing, because we believe that it's a breakthrough and which is going to benefit the entire industry. Once again, we're in the business of digitizing processes in the field, collecting the right amount of data. I think that the work on AI I think it's going to accelerate faster than I thought. It's going to take different forms and different shapes in different places. And so we are very excited to share this. And I think it could be applicable for any company, any project, anywhere in the world, as long as you collect enough information in the field, which is real time, and can help you to capture behaviors. I think that's the key.
Fantastic. Well, really appreciate your time and explanation today. It is a subject for tomorrow, but it's not just for tomorrow, it's for today. And I'm sure that this is the excitement about your partnership with WakeCap, because WakeCap is collecting data that will be a foundation moving ahead. And if we are to escalate the rollout of AI, we need data. And so a client, I'm presuming, a client today that has WakeCap on their construction site is already collecting a lot of data that will bring value to the analysis of AI safety in the future. Is that how you see it, Dennis? How do you see the relationship with WakeCap moving ahead?
Yeah, absolutely. So in our models, it's very important to capture information about man hours over time, because they have an impact potentially on safety, right? So the workforce, the level of training, how many hours they work, under which conditions. Obviously, this is very important. Now, in our case, in the case of Chongqing, this is something which is collected with the application manually. And what is very beautiful about WakeCap is that some of this information is collected automatically without any human judgment, right? So it's just collected automatically. So for us, this is great because it provides a data set which is fairly accurate, and that can be used to improve actually the predictions for the AI model. So in that sense, we believe that it's a great combination of, on the one hand, you have Novade, which is an expert in managing field processes, and on the other hand, you have WakeCap, which is a company which is leading edge when it comes to collecting information from people, assets in the field. You combine those two together, I think we can really make a big difference in the industry.
Which is exciting to move forward. If a contractor has the mechanism in place, the technology in place to automatically collect that information, the data, then they can continue to do what they do best, and that's build buildings, not collect data. And so having a technology that's in the background, automatically collecting the information, the data that's required for the development of AI solutions is of tremendous value. So what do you think of the next steps moving forward with this for you and for this technology?
Yeah, I'm asked a lot of times this question from prospect clients. Say, okay, this is exciting. Can I get AI? And my first answer was like, well, actually, you don't need AI models to improve safety on your construction sites, right? I think what you should do is definitely embark on digitizing field processing, collecting data. Just by doing this, you're going to automate processes, you're going to save time in compliance, you're going to start making some improvements because there's certain things you're going to be able to capture. And at some point, when you have enough data, you'll be able to use AI and go to the next level. I have I don't know if we have time, but I have one or two slides I'd like to share with this. Is that okay?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah. On the, when I was talking about the AI models, so it's not about the model itself that matters. It's understanding which parameters impact the prediction, right? So we know today, working with Chongqing, what are the things that really matter. And so our recommendation to anyone is just start, if you haven't done it, just go full speed on digitizing field processes, right? Collect information, capture real-time data from the field, digitize your field processes. You're going to be able to analyze. There are wonderful tools that exist, to put your data into dashboards, Power BI, etc. You're going to be able to monitor trends. You're going to see patterns. We can have discussions and conversations with you and sharing what we believe are, these parameters that really matter when it comes to safety. And by the way, I'm pretty sure if you're an expert in safety, you already know what needs to be done. And then the beauty about this is you can start making decisions and improve, the way you operate. Now, within 1 or 2 years, if you do this, if you have collected enough data, you'll be able to use AI models and go to the next step. But nothing prevents you from, getting started today, right? And you should actually, right? If you are interested to learn more about, AI and how it can be used, we've published online an article that describes the business case with Chongqing in Singapore, how we did it, what the results are. You can actually, if you scan the QR code here on the screen, you'll be able to access this article and read it. So it's like just very simple 3 or 4 pages document that explains precisely, what we did, how we did it, and what is the outcome. And if you have any questions, you're interested to follow up on this topic, very happy to do it with the WakeCap and engage with you.
Fantastic. So looking ahead, you see that this is a pretty exciting realm for you. And the development of AI to enhance construction safety and efficiency. Really appreciate your time, Dennis, today. Where do you see this in the next 5 years? Is 5 years enough time for this to develop?
Prediction is never easy. I thought that when I started, I believe it would take 10 to 20 years to get there. 2 or 3 years ago, I was still writing papers on this, thinking maybe 2025, 2030 will do it. We are here. Actually, it's going much faster than I thought. I think generative AI, I thought that AI models move much faster than we initially anticipated. The only limitation actually is the ability for human organizations to collect data in the field. So I would say the biggest challenge for us is not technology, it's not engineering, it's going super fast. It's the ability for human organizations to embark on digitization, understand, how technology works, understand what technology can do and not do. So I think the limits today is the human beings, definitely not the technology, because it's going super fast.
Interesting statement from one of our attendees today. Data collected automatically without human judgment will push AI forward. Do you agree or disagree?
I do. Yes, I do. I would just say this, which is to create powerful AI models, you always need human beings to validate that the data captured is right. So it's a combination, right? So you need some data, and the more it's captured automatically in the field, the better. But you also need to make sure that a human being is looking at it and say, yeah, it makes sense or not. Because if not, you may also have some pretty big problems. So I think it's a combination. It's a combination of both.
Well, we can thank our Singapore government for sponsoring your efforts so far. I'm sure they don't cover all the costs, but you have some investment here, and therefore rolling out some form of AI on construction isn't going to be free. But when we talk about safety, it's very difficult to qualify or quantify the return on investment for a specific technology. How do you put a value on something that might happen but didn't because you knew it wasn't going to happen? Does that make sense? But have you had any discussion on this? This is a question from one of our audience today.
Yeah, so I honestly can't quantify the impact of AI today. What I can quantify is this, which is our clients have been using and accelerating the usage of Novade in the last 10 years for a very simple reason. We help them to save a lot of money around compliance, right? So compliance, the cost of compliance, especially in the domain of safety, is getting higher and higher. And with Novade, you can just dramatically reduce the cost of managing your compliance. I'm going to give you an example. We know that in Singapore, every time you manage a permits to work, you switch from paper to digital with Novade, you save $20 to $30 per permits to work. And when you know there's about 100, 150 permits to work done on most construction sites, you add up every day, every site. It starts to be very significant at the end of the year. So I would say I am not in a position where I can quantify how much money we're going to save for accidents prediction. To be honest, I think it's a little bit irrelevant. I feel like if we manage to reduce accidents dramatically with Yongsheng, I feel very good, and I'm very sure that a lot of people will feel good and want to use technology. But if you're looking for a reason why you should digitize your processes or use Novade, I can guarantee we can help you to save a lot of money very quickly by reducing the cost of compliance.
Well, I promise that we conclude in 1 hour, and we are on time. Thank you, Dennis, for your efforts. I have one final question for you, and keep me to my promise. So answer this, please, in 2 minutes or less. How can construction companies today start integrating for AI technology in safety management practices? What do we need to be doing today? We know that the product's not ready, but we know that technologies are there for us to use and bring value to the construction process, like Novade's other products, like WakeCap's other products. But for the construction industry, what do we need to do today to support the integration of AI technologies for safety?
I'm going to keep it very simple. Tomorrow morning, you go on your favorite site, if you're on a site, and you look at the teams, what they do, and you pick just one process, which is not digitized. Whatever is this process, you think it's important. It could be a permits to work. It could be a site diary. It could be a quality control. You just start with one, you digitize it, get the teams on board, and here we go. That's the beginning of the journey. Then 1 month you do 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 site, 2 sites, 3 sites. And before you know it, within 1 or 2 years, you've had collected enough information so you can start applying AI to make a difference. So start small, bottom up. That's always what works in this industry.
Well, Dennis, thank you so much for your time. I know it's a little bit late there for you in Singapore. And I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. For many in the region, it's a holiday, or if not a holiday, a day that they've taken off as a holiday. We are just heading into the Eid here in the Middle East. And so we really appreciate everyone that's joined with us today. We will be recording this and sharing the video with you for you to share with your friends and colleagues. But we really appreciate your time to join with us today. Dennis, thank you so much. We do wish you the very best in the development of AI for safety at Novade, and we look forward to the collaboration that you will have in the future with WakeCap for the Middle East region. So thank you, Dennis. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. That concludes our webinar, and we are 1 minute early. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to meeting you again soon. Travel safe and keep well. Take care.